nice to have you around.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we get started. A quick recap on what we discussed last week. We were looking at BPR and IT, business process engineering and information technology. We looked at the relationship between the two, how we need IT so much for us to be able to achieve the basics of BPR. We said for us to undertake that fundamental rethinking for those dramatic improvements and also those drastic redesigning. We can only do that through use of IT. So we agree that IT is so important for an organization to achieve its goals when it comes to BPR. It has to be embedded in the strategy, in the people, and almost the basic infrastructure of the organization. Then we also looked at four major roles of IT when it comes to reengineering. We said that IT enables new processes. In other words, we can only undertake new processes if we apply information technology. Again, we said that it also facilitates, IT facilitates project management. In business, for us to achieve those short-term goals, we have to come into practice of undertaking project management, those short-term activities, so that we are able to achieve the objectives of the business. So it is so key. And again, that can only be achieved if we engage IT and achieve the basics of project management. That is, we manage costs, we manage technical aspects of the project, and at the same time, we manage time, the schedules. Then number three, we said, through use of IT, we are able to work closely together. That is that in terms of people, the workers, and teamwork. That is that has a major contribution. It will contribute best if we apply information technology for the aspects of communication, coordination, organizing people, and the like. And lastly, we said BPR helps integrate businesses. In other words, you're able to do so many things at the same time. You come up with very unique models, models which will enable an organization survive, models which will create a competitive advantage and make the business unique in survival. Remember, every time the business world is so dynamic, so many changes. So through the aspects of information technology, we achieve so much. So without much delays, I believe now we are forum for those who had not joined us. We are 12. I think I'm getting started for for today's presentation, and we are looking at, and still what I'm presenting is in the previous notes, the notes I had shared last week. We are looking at BPR tools and techniques, business process engineering tools and techniques, which are most applicable when it comes to information technology. Remember, every time we mention business process redesign, we are talking of the various processes, the various things which are undertaken by the business. And if we are to re-engineer them, remember, we have to reimagine them, we have to rethink them, redesign them, so that we come up with strong structures, strong systems, strong processes, which increase value for the customer, which ensure that all the organizational requirements are being achieved. And at the same time, all other interested stakeholders of the business, they also have their objectives provided. Therefore, this aspect of change management, implementing these processes, introducing new technologies for the Randco drive. That Randco rapid improvement entails use of tools and techniques. Now, this is when I talk about tools and techniques, this is in terms of methodologies. These are also the approaches we apply, the techniques we use so that we are able to achieve these basics of the business. So tools, techniques, these are methods, they are ways, they are approaches we apply information technology so that we are able to progress positively and create that dramatic or radical departure from the way things are done traditionally to be able to meet those dramatic performance. So we are saying there are quite a number. I've just picked a few, and you realize most of them also touch so much on the operation research tools, which are, most of them are mathematical because they are quantitative techniques. The first one, we are saying there, we have what we call workflow analysis. And when we talk about workflow analysis, we are looking the way the work activities, the sequence of the work activities follow each other. The way the work activities follow each other, please give me 1 minute, just a break. Sorry, I'm back. Sorry for that interruption. So I said we are getting started. We look at those tools. We've said tool number one is workflow analysis. Workflow analysis. And I said when we talk about workflow analysis, we refer to the sequence of work activities that create the final value for the customer. So it is sequence of work activities that result in an endpoint in the process. That's how we define workflow. Now, we also have, under workflow analysis, we have workflow automation. Now, this is also another tool that is applied in so many different ways. We try to automate the way things are done. We automate flow of tasks, document data across work activities in accordance to the defined business procedures. So clearly, when we talk about workflow analysis, this is a concept. It is that tool where we try to look at the way the work is done. How do we organize the various work activities? So, for example, we can just take an example when a customer makes an inquiry about the product you are selling. How do you go about it? So we try to come up with a sequence, how the things follow. Let's say it's a financial transaction, somebody working in a bank, they make an inquiry on how to get a loan, a personal loan from the company. What is the process? So that workflow analysis, what are the various steps this application has to go through? You can also try to demonstrate workflow analysis by use of flow charts. You can also use dashboards so that they make the activity more clear, especially to those people you are training how to do that work. That's the first thing we use in business process reengineering. So for us to use these IT, we need to understand how the work flows, what is the sequence, how is this work moving from one level to another, from one department to the other. The same case to those people in manufacturing. If a product is to be procured, is to be produced, what are the various steps this product has to go through? Any question? Any question? Somebody is saying they can't hear. Are you able to hear me? Can you hear me? Jotham? Mr. Mulamba?
You are clear on my side, eh?
Okay, somebody is
So
saying that
probably
they
on
can't
your
hear
side
me.
there's a problem with the network. You can refresh. Yeah.
Okay. We proceed the second one, if no question. And you will still excuse me for 1 minute. I'm really being interrupted here. Just sorry for that. Just 1 minute, please. I'm back. Sorry. Hey, a lot of interruptions, but sorry for that. So, we look at the second one. We've looked at workflow analysis. The second one is the robotic process automation. Now, these are the emerging tools. They also focus so much on how to manage work activities, making sure that most of those activities which need human intervention, they are managed through use of machines, the robots. So this is also a very applicable tool, robotics, which are able to imitate the way humans work. They have a combination of several technologies. They have a cognitive technology, which is most likely to do the work the way the normal human being would do. At the same time, they have other sensors whereby if something is not okay, these robotics will not function. They also combine the artificial intelligence. I'm sure we are familiar with that. Artificial intelligence, machine learning. We've discussed these things. I'm sure you remember that. So such robotic processes are able to do the work which could have done by normal human being without a lot of human interventions. Basically, by using those technologies, the cognitive technologies, the machine learning, artificial intelligence, and the like. Number 3, this is a bit simple. These are the customer and process focused tools and techniques. Basically, these kind of tools which we are calling customer and process focused tools, they are the tools which are able to support what the customer is supposed to be given. For example, we have those systems which are able to manage customer queries, systems which are able to try to process and provide solution for the customer. Their main focus is to change the process and try to create benefit for the customer. For example, we have the CRMs, the customer relationship systems, also performance driver analysis are some of the examples of tools we apply when it comes to customer and process focus tools. The fourth one from our notes there is a visualization for end processes. Now, basically, this process try to imitate also the way what is happening in another company, the way we do benchmarking, the way we compare with others. We try to borrow that and imitate the same within the process we are working on. So this kind of tool, visualization for end process, tries to buy the concept from another operating process and we imitate it. We replicate the same for another process. So the objective here is to try to visualize and benchmark what the end business process should be like. So you buy that concept, you also try to replicate in another process. So far we've discussed four. We started with workflow analysis and automation, or workflow analysis automation. We've looked at robot process automation. We've looked at customer and process focus tools. Then visualization for end processes. Number 5 is change management. Change management. Now, this is more of the soft tools and techniques, which is practiced by the management who are providing leadership in terms of relationships with their employees. Now, business process reengineering should also take into consideration the human side of these processes, which require significant involvement of employees and also the impact of their work. If you don't undertake change management, you don't talk to your employees, it's very likely that you will experience a lot of resistance. With such resistance, it's very hard to progress. Therefore, such change management techniques will enable you achieve your bottom line. Implementation of a better process and better system. Such techniques for change management include force field analysis, also those other relationship management systems, and also I believe there is also the aspect of teamwork, so that you are able to manage the change which is expected to drive the business forward. Number 6 is business process mapping. And this is basically understanding the existing business processes so that you are able to know where the problems are. It means when we talk about business process mapping, we are able to understand the existing system, how it operates, where we have weaknesses, areas which need improvement, and also areas which might not be generating any value for the business. With such understanding, we are able to effectively come up with a system which is able to generate higher returns, more value for the business. Such kind of techniques under business process mapping include risk management tools like risk analysis, risk identification, risk classification, etc. Also simulation. We also have the decision trees, which are able to assist the organization to really understand the existing business processes. We've discussed how many. I want to see whether people are following. How many tools have we discussed? How many tools have we discussed? You can put it on the chat. You can also unmute and communicate. Yes, Bridget? So far we've discussed how many?
6.
Well, I'm not communicating.
We discussed 6.
The first one?
Was workflow.
Workflow analysis. Thank you. Another one? People are not following.
Process.
Yes?
Robotic process.
Robotic processes, automation.
Then
I'm only
customer
teaching one student. Hebu wache mtu mwingine aongee. Somebody else.
customer process.
Those are 2. Number 3. Watu tu wanakaa tu. Hakuna kitu wanasikia. Hello?
Customer
Yes,
and
Stefan.
process.
Customer and process. Focus
Customer and
tools.
process focus.
Thank you, Stephanie. Number 4. You already have the notes and you can't remember, really? Yes, I need to be reminded. Number 4.
Visualization and processes.
Number 4. Yes, come up again. Visualization for?
And processes.
Yes. Number 5.
Change management.
Change management tools and techniques. Number 6. Number 6. I'm waiting. I'm not progressing until you say something. Number 6. So that
Business
we.
mapping.
Yes.
Business process mapping.
Business process mapping. Thank you, Tasha. So we proceed. You can see people are following, although it's like they are still sleeping, or others are still doing it in their bedrooms. Eh? Okay, number 7 is benchmarking. Now, benchmarking here, we specifically compare process to process, or function to a function. We try to imitate, we compare with our competitors, the best performers or the industry leaders. We look at how they are doing their processes. We also try to replicate the same in our company. It's a whole process with a lot of information. In benchmarking, we will do a survey to identify the benchmarking partner. We also identify the benchmarks which we will need to implement on. And also we look at how our processes are, how can they be merged, and how to go ahead to implement the new knowledge acquired. Number 8, this is also very familiar, SWOT analysis. It's one of those techniques we use to understand the environment we are operating in. Here, under SWOT analysis, we look at the strengths, the weaknesses of the organization, that is the internal environment. We also look at opportunities and threats in the external environment. We come up with strategies of how to survive and also how to minimize the threats which might be harmful for the business. Number 9 is product lifecycle analysis. Basically, we are trying to understand the process. We are trying to understand how the product moves the minute we launch it into the market. So whenever we launch this new product to the market, we look at that process. How long does the product take? How long does the product last in the market? There are a lot of insights there because you will look at how the product is growing in terms of revenue generation and also in terms of costs. to sustain it in the market. And how long does it last? You realize, especially for technological products like the softwares, their life cycles are very short. And within a very short time, a product will be obsolete and out of business. So you really need to look at it. You need to focus on it so that you know what is happening. You understand your product and also you understand your market. That is through the product life cycle analysis. The last one, and I just decided to dwell on those 10, is what we are calling Pareto analysis. Now, Pareto analysis is a very odd concept. It was introduced the year 1950s by an economist called Wilfredo Pareto, whereby he was looking at the way consumption and income relate. It's a economics concept, but we also buy it to understand the business world. Another name for the Pareto analysis is the 80-20 rule, whereby we try to look at what is happening. What are the effects of the things we do in the business? What is their effect in terms of impact of the processes? Normally, we classify them in two categories. That is the 20 effects, the 20 causes, sorry, and the 80 effects, and the vice versa. Through the 20%, we normally say most of the business problems are associated with the processes which are in place. So you realize there are processes, let's say 80% of the processes will give an effect of 20%. And also the opposite is true. 20% of the processes have an impact of 80%. Which one do you think is vital? Which one do you think you need to focus your attention on? I'm repeating that again. We said, in business processes management, you have very key processes. Processes which are very minimal, they account for 20%, but their impact, if they are not well taken care of, will be 80%. Then you have the other balance of the processes, 80%, but their impact is 20%. Which one do you think needs serious attention? Which one do you think we need to manage? We need to take care of the one which has a greater impact. We are only saying 20%, but their impact is 80%. We normally call them the vital few. Those processes which are so key, which are the core of the business. That's what we need to focus our attention on. Then we also have the rest, which is their 80%, but their impact is 20%. You can see their impact is not so much, although these are the majority of the processes within a business. We call them the trivial many, and vital few. So those are the basic tools I've identified. The list is not exhaustive. There are so many other tools we've not talked about, but these are the basics to be able to move business process reengineering forward. Any question on that? Any question? Hello? Any question? No question? Okay. Any other? Okay, we look at the future role of IT in reengineering. This is in the notes I've shared in the morning. I hope everybody has been able to get that. Everybody has got the notes? Yes? We have the notes?
Yes.
Right. So we look at the future of IT in re-engineering. So we are looking at the impact. What is the future role of IT when it comes to business reengineering? When we look at the future role of IT in business reengineering, we look at those effects in two perspectives. We have a bottom-up manner, whereby we are looking at creating dynamic IT infrastructure, which is open for extension, again, which is driven by the machine learning, the modern practices of intelligent manufacturing, a model that is able to move from the workers up to the top. Also, we have the second approach, whereby we take a top-down approach from the top management down to the people who are at the bottom, the operational people, the people working on the ground. Those are the two approaches. Each of those approaches has an impact when it comes to re-engineering. We start with the first one, rebuilding an IT from a ground-up approach, that is the bottom-up manner. And as I've said, we are saying this one-dimensional focuses on modernizing IT with the underlying infrastructure, working with the people on the ground so that you're able to develop and deploy flexible solutions that enable innovation by engaging the employees in a competitive manner, whereby if the technology is stable, there are so many things which are likely to happen in this organization. We are saying for the bottom-up initiatives, it focuses on 3 areas of opportunity, and these are the impact, the roles IT is playing when it comes to re-engineering. 3 basic things. We have number 1, automation. So with the bottom-up approach, we are able to automate processes. Number 2 is paying down the technical debt. I will explain that. And number 3 is modernized infrastructure. 3 things. You said automation. Number 2, paying of technical debt. Number 3, modernized infrastructure. We start with the first one, automation. When we talk about automation, I'm sure it's very familiar with us. Automation is the creation and application of technologies so as to produce and deliver goods with minimum human intervention. That's what we said the other day, whereby we are using technology to produce and deliver goods and services with minimum human intervention. The implementation of automation technologies, techniques, and processes improve the efficiency, reliability, and speed of so many business activities, which were previously being performed by humans. And you realize when it comes to IT, there are so many opportunities which we can undertake automation of processes. I've just picked a few examples of automation. Also, we can call them the different approaches of automation. Number one there is the one we discussed as a method, the robotic process automation. Now, this is whereby we have in other machines, other robots do the work of humans. Like you find those robots which are able to clean rooms without even direction. They are so much programmed to do the work of human beings. There are others, I've just listed them there. Number two there is intelligent automation. This one we mentioned the other day when looking at intelligent manufacturing, the machine learning, machines which you are able to let it move on its own to an extent. Even when this machine needs maintenance, it can communicate to you. Then there is also number three there, cognitive engines, which help IT work to manage increasingly complex workloads, especially for repetitive work, which is so easy to automate. Then there is also those other ones we call the large-scale automation platforms in terms of self-monitoring, self-healing, and the like. Still in our notes there, we have, yes, self-automation, whereby users can access IT resources from a standardized service option. There is also the data cleaning scripts, which is an approach where a machine is able to perform extensively data cleaning processes on its own so as to improve the quality of the output. I've listed all those things there in the notes. There is also space probe semi-autonomous functionality, the way these explorations work, the space explorations, the way they move, they are able to be by the scientists. They can program and send them to the outer space, go and collect information and also bring it back here, communicate the same to the people down here. There is also other ones still under automation. We have the self-drive vehicles, self-operating machines. It's part of automation work. There are also others under the hospitality industry, hospitality event processing. For example, those with sensors, they can detect of intruder and so on. All those are examples of automation. So that's one of the future role of IT, especially with the bottom-up approach when it comes to effects, role of IT in the future. We've said automation, and all those are examples of automated processes. Any question on those? They are well explained in that summary. Any question on those examples of automation processes, automated processes? Any question? Are we together? Okay. We look at the second role under the bottom-up approach is paying down a technical debt. Now, when we talk about technical debt, we also refer to it as design debt. And we say a design debt or a technical debt is a concept in software development that reflects the implied cost of additional rework, maybe caused by choice of a certain alternative Maybe you decide to use another alternative which is cheaper, or which might take shorter time. A technical debt, an issue being created because of an opportunity cost. You decide to select a certain alternative instead of the other. Technical debt describes what results when development teams take action, maybe to divert, maybe to expedite delivery of a certain functionality of a process or a project, which later needs to be looked at. So you undertake alternative. You choose to do something in a different way, maybe to deliver to a demand by a customer, and later you still need to get back. You realize that's something you have failed to do at the right time. You have maybe postponed the same, and you redo it later after you've sorted the customer. A technical debt, an issue in processes. Just the same way we talk of financial debt. It's like just borrowing money and you fail to pay. What happens in the future? The same concept is applicable here. Normally, technical debt occurs when we decide to forgo certain development work and we choose to do others, maybe to meet a business deadline. You can see the impact there of a technical debt from our notes. We are saying if we have a technical debt, it leads to low morale and motivation on the terms of employees, because this is work which is accumulating. It also leads to low code in terms of quality, which at the end of the day lowers productivity. And if it lowers productivity also, you realize there is pressure to increase productivity, creating more and more problems. So you need also to manage this technical debt. We are saying through use of IT, we are able, at the end of the day, we are able to pay down technical debt. So with use of IT, we are able to manage all these complexities. We are able to remove all these inefficiencies and be able to redo the work which has been delayed, work which needs to be done, so that we are managing the flow of work within the organization. Now, accumulation of technical debt, that's work which needs to be done in the future, may affect return on investment because of the aspects of lower productivity, lower morale, such that an organization at one time is being pressured to increase levels of productivity. And this means creating more work in the future. But if we apply IT, we come up with innovative ways which we are able to progress forward. Also, we are able to maintain a stable infrastructure so that we are able to eliminate such inefficiencies. That is paying down the technical debt. Any question? Any question? Any question? Tuko pamoja? We together? Any question? Okay. We look at the future role of IT under the bottom line approach, and this is modernized infrastructure. Number one, we talked about automation. Two, we've looked at repaying of technical debts. Number three, modernized infrastructure. Now, when we talk about modernized infrastructure, it is manifested in the form of stable facilities which are able to manage business, which are able to lead to the business to create a competitive advantage, being able to deal with the margin issues. Remember the dynamics of the customer every day. We have customers who are so much involved. Through modernization of infrastructure, we are able to manage such expectations of the customer. That means there is a demonstrated efficiency and effectiveness in the business environment. Also, we are able to come up with modern practices, with modern capabilities, which means we are able to deal with huge workload in an effective way in terms of cost management, and also in terms of meeting the expectations of the customer. Look at the way the social media operates. The social media, look at the Facebook. Imagine how much volume, those huge data they manage, and this data is changing day by day. So many things are happening every day and day, but the system is able to accommodate all that and still deliver in terms of efficiency and also in terms of effectiveness, the costs to the business. So those are the three basic future roles of IT in reengineering, especially with the bottom-up approach. We look at the top-down remodeling, if no question. Now, when we do things from the top management downwards to the employees, what is happening? We are saying there, through top management influence, businesses have grown over time, and also a lot of responsibilities to the management team so as to deal with emerging technologies, so as to deal with emerging dynamics of the market. The traditional operating models that IT has used to execute its mission, we can say with the change, with the dynamics, it's no longer the right methodology. There is need to create new ways of getting the work done. And you realize most of the modern businesses are beginning to embrace a number of opportunities so as to reimagine the way IT operates, especially with the top-down approach. So here we are involving the leadership in these aspects of IT. Now, those future roles of IT with their top-down approach or top-down remodel include, number one, we are able to reorganize teams. So number one there is reorganizing teams. We are saying many IT organizations are organized in silos. Silos, this term is borrowed from the agricultural world. Silos. A silo, I'm sure you are familiar with that from your agriculture. We used to say a silo is what? Yeah? It's like a granary where you store your cereals and you store them in a better way that they are not getting mixed. Now, when we apply that to the business world, we normally say silo mentality is that aspect where organizations are not sharing information. There is no sharing of information with employees of different divisions within the same company. Now, with this kind of approach, it is an attitude whereby we are reducing organizations' efficiency, and it is negatively affecting the corporate culture. In business, a siloed capability, the way I've used it there, refers to business divisions that are operating independently and they avoid sharing information. It has several issues there. And that's why we are saying there, where are we? Reorganizing teams. So we are saying, if we are not able to manage these teams so well, We will have those issues of siloed capabilities, organizations which have locked themselves such that there is no growth. There is a lot of independency, and with that independency, it affects corporate culture. People are not networking, they are really limiting their potential, which is not very good for the business. And therefore, with a top-down model, such silos are really eliminated to come up with business models which are reorganized, where workers are multi-skilled, where people are able to interact, network, and share information without limitations. Number two, so that is reorganizing teams. We are able to do that with a top-down approach with use of IT. Again, there is the aspect of budgeting for the organization. And if we are able to eliminate those aspects of silos, those functional silos, if we are able to eliminate that, that means we have wider exposure to innovative ways. We have better ways of managing the costs within the business. Also, we are able to come up with priorities based on capabilities of people, capabilities of the system. Hence, greater flexibility, better responsiveness, so that we are able at the end of the day to create value for the business. The other impact, the other role of IT in re-engineering is the aspect of balancing return on investment. This is basically about the profits, being able to achieve the goals, and also managing uncertainties, those risks which normally affect the business negatively. There are those risks which, if they come, if they are not well managed, the business might not be able to grow. The business is limited. And remember, we are operating in so dynamic world, so business dynamic areas, such that if you're not able to take the challenge, if you're not able to perform and meet the needs of your customer, another company will do it at a very cheaper cost within a very short time. So through IT, we are able to balance return on investment, at least assure the business some profitability at the end of the day, and manage uncertainties, manage those risks which are imminent within the business. So those are three things I've mentioned there. We've talked about, no, four, there are four. We've talked about, just a summary for you. We said we are able to reorganize team with the top-down approach. We are able to undertake budgeting to manage costs, typically to ensure allocation of resources so well. Then there is the aspect of managing return on investment. These are profitability level for the business, the profit margins. Be able to maximize that. And also, number four, we are able to manage risk and uncertainties, which might affect the business negatively. Any question? Any question? Comment? So point to note there, we've said future role of the IT in re-engineering, we'll look at it in two aspects. When we undertake it with a bottom-up approach, we say there are three things: automation, paying of technical debt, and modernized infrastructure. Then with a top-down, basically this is where we have a lot of relationship management, people involvement. We have an impact in the team, budget management, return on investment, and lastly, risk management. Any question? Any question? Any comments? Any question? So down there is a conclusion there. We are saying for years, IT has faithfully helped to re-engineer the business. For it's the time for IT to transform itself with the same vision, discipline, and rigor. By building a modernized infrastructure powered by purposive automation and embracing new approaches to organizing around, budgeting for and measuring the impact of technology-enabled initiatives, Chief Information Officers will be able to meet or exceed growing expectations from the business. And at the end of the day, we do all these things until we make a return on investment, until a business is able to achieve its set objectives, the others remain stories. So we have to really tailor-made the processes. We look at IT to make sure it creates a positive benefit for the business. And us being in business process reengineering, we dwell so much on the processes. But at the end of the day, we have to achieve these dramatic changes, these dramatic improvements, so that we are able to manage, that we are able to meet the needs of the customer. After we have achieved that, we look then at requirements for the business and other interested stakeholders. So that is the bottom line. So that marks the end of the topic. That is the end of topic 5. Not unless somebody has a question, comment. Any question? So I wish to stop at that level. If no question, no comment, then we meet next week, same time. Thank you, Mr. Mulamba, for your support, for your assistance. I appreciate your efforts. Mr. Mulamba. Mr. Mulamba?
I'm around.
Yeah, we've come to the end of the presentation and the talk.
Okay.
Thank you for always being there for support.
Okay.
I appreciate.
Thank you. So I've recorded the lesson. I'll send you the link once it's sent.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay, you have a good day.